Hello BIM learners, welcome to BIM Modeler. This is Raj. We are creating a series of parametric family creation from the beginner to the advanced level. In this video tutorial, we are going to watch a simple parametric table creations. You will be learning how to create an extrude, how to create a wide sweep, and also you will be learning the constraints such as using a parameter and by using the log options available while we do a modeling. And I hope you will like this video, and don't forget to subscribe and share it with your learning friends. Let's start the family. Let's start with the new family file. I used to work with the generic model. If you are okay, you can start with metric furnitures. Let's open the generic model family. Close the background view. Let's save the family into the locations where you wanted to save. The family name, option, the backup file count 1. Save the family. Create the or assign the family category as furniture and select OK. This is the center axis. We have to create the similar type for our parameter constraining for the table, bottom for the width, and the left side and the right side. To more about knowing it, reference plane and reference line, I will link the video above. Make a dimension. You are continuously making the dimension check for equal constraining, and the dimension for width and the dimension for the table length. This is the center axis. It will be pinned by default. Let's open the front view. I used to work with views side by side, and press WT to create both the views. Create a reference plane for the table height. It is leg height actually, and create a dimension from the reference line, not the reference level. Use the tab and create one more reference plane above of it for the tabletop thickness. You can simply copy and paste the same. Create a dimension for the same. Let's create the parameters for our constraining, parametric constraining. Table length, and the discipline will be common, and the length type of parameter, it's a length parameter by default, and the dimension group category, it's a type parameter and it's a family parameter. Select OK. Assign the value, the table length, and create the similar way. In a similar way, you have to create the table height, table width, and leg sizes if you needed. All parameters are in the same category as a length, which grouped under dimension category. Assign any other parameters, for in this case bimmodeler.com. Click OK. Now it's time to assign those parameters to our dimensions. Assign the width parameter and the table length parameter. Once if you are assigning those value, automatically it will be size will be adjusted for the 1500. Since it's equal constraint, both sides will be same dimensions. Similar way, table height and the table top thickness. Let's change the value. Whenever you do a parameter options, you have to change the value and you have to flex it. and whether it's working properly or not. You have to flex, you have to change their value and check whether it works or not. And create an extrude for our leg. Create your own geometry. As any dimensions you can draw, later on you can modify it. You can see that there are two locks showing by default. You can lock it. If you miss the lock, you have to take the align command AL and click the first line and click the line object, reference plane and line, lock it. Similarly, you have to do for the other three sides. And create a dimension for the leg. It may be any dimensions, we can later parametrically control it. Other three sides at any dimensions you can create. You can see the lock, it's showing as to lock it. You can lock if you want it. The fourth corner, you can see that the other locks also showing. The lock which is unlocked, you have to click and lock it. If you missed it, you have to take the align command and you have to lock with the reference line, which is constraint earlier. Take the dimensions, do a dimension with reference plane. So the dimensionings are done for all the sides. Select all those dimensions, and we have not created any parameter for leg dimensions. We have to create our own from that icon, family parameter. The leg I'm giving it as a leg length, so we can keep the leg length and leg width separately. And since it's assigned, you can see that at 100 value it automatically constrained for all the elements. Select the width dimensions and go back, and we don't have any width parameter, create one. Now we have two parameters assigned. Once if you are creating this way, it will be automatically reflected in the type, family type here. You can change their values and check whether it works properly or not. Click OK. So you can see that the work plane, it is in the bottom, so it comes from the bottom. You can flex it later time using the grips. You can move it up and down, or you can use the align command AL, align it with the reference plane bottom. You can see that, use the tabbing option, align the bottom and lock that. Go to 3D and check your model how it is created. Change the realistic mode. It looks good. Let's start with the another extrude for our top if you need to create it now. Create a rectangular shape. So we have to set the work plane because it's supposed to start from the leg top end. So you have to click the reference plane. It will ask us to open the view you wanted to draw. It's a level plan. Automatically the work plane will be set. Now you can draw the rectangular on the place. So if you see later after modeling it, the pink line you can see wherever you have done the setting the work plane, it will be in that positions. And do a align in 4 corners and lock it. Finish the modeling. So automatically you can see that it's increasing in the extrusion end 250, and you can stretch it wherever you need because since still it is not constrained yet. As similar any other
constraining, you have to use the align command and lock it with the reference plane, because the reference planes are already constrained and assigned with parameters. Now all the details are done. You have to go back one more time in the family types, change their value and check the parameters whether it's working proper or not. Flex it multiple times, we may have an error for us. If everything is okay, let's select OK, go back to the family, and I'm creating a void sweep which is for the table top smoothness. I like to have a top smoothness to avoid the damage or anything. So I'm using the pick method and drawing the 4 sides, picking the 4 corners of the tabletop and editing the profile. I like to create the cut profile, which is the quarter circle. The sketch can be done as per your requirement. It's always better to draw it in the front view. The dimensions are approximate. You can draw your own dimensions as per your requirement. Use the trim and extend and finish the profile, and you can see the profile quarter circle and finish it. The profile now cutting through our tabletop, and you can see the smooth edges. Now we have to create the junction box hole on the top of the table. So we can go back to the floor plan, create a rough rectangular and create the dimensional constraint as equal constraint. The equal constraint will maintain both sides as equal dimension and create the dimensions between the different lines. So if you feel that the dimensions are bigger, you have to change the scale value, and don't forget to lock the dimensions so that it maintains the distance. If you have done an equal constraint, you have to change their dimension in a one line as 150 I am showing. Once it is done, finish it. We forgot to create a work plane. So the void extrusion which is created on the bottom, so we have to stretch it manually to the top side. So it's not cutting through our table, so we have to use the modify cut and we have to cut 2 objects. Now it is cut by manually. Now create an extrude using the pick option, set work plane. On the top of the table we need to create the closing cover for the junction box. I like to create a rectangular shape and I like to have the 2 mm offset for the cover. So I will mention the offset value as 2. You can click the corner and you can press the space to move it inside and outside. Draw the required shape and finish it. If you need an opening provision, you can draw the shape as circular and split the element to make it a trim and extend properly. TR is a shortcut for trim and extend. Finish the model. So we have done the extrusion on the top. So I'm changing the extrusion end as 50 mm as thickness. Now you can see that from the top it's 50 mm. Using the grip you can adjust your dimension as per requirement. and align it constraint with the model. I'm using the locking constraint and I'm making the dimensional constraint to the bottom. The bottom is 29. You can check clearly it is minus 29. You can round it off by minus 30 so that I can maintain the 30 dimensions all the time, and don't forget to lock it. So this is how you whole locking systems work, and parametric constraints and the equal constraints works. Let's close the model and try to filter the elements, only the solid elements, and I'm going to assign the material. For filtering, you have to go to the filter and you can see 3 plus 2 elements, untick the 2 void elements and assign the material. I'm going to create the associate family parameter so that it will be listed under our parameter category. So table material, select OK. The parameters are now assigned. You can go back to the family types and see that there is a table material parameter, so that we can control this material in our project. Now create a new material for wood material. And go back to the asset library. From asset library you can search for wood, and the wood options are listed. You can select your required wood type and assign it to the current material as wood. Replace with editor. Once it is done, it will be assigned, and both in the appearance and the render shaded. Once it is done, create your own type. So the tables are differentiated by using the dimensions. So we can create the types based on their dimensions. I'm going to create two types. One is with the length of 1500, the other one is with the length of 2000. Create one more type with the length of 2000. There are two types. Change the second type 2000 value and click OK. Now if you see that we forgot to constrain the last element, which is the extrude, we have to edit that again, going back to the floor plan. So you can move it back to the same position, and you have to lock the elements with the dimensional constraint with the lock options. Use the move command to move it back and maintain the distance between the elements. It's 2. So take a dimension constraint in all sides and lock all the dimensions. Once it is done, you can go back to the same type parameters and change their value and flex it. Whether it works or not, you can check it. So the table lengths are modified, but still it maintains the same position, so it means it's working properly. Now save the family. We can load this family into our project and test it out in the project scenario. So I'm using the same project here, which we have the non-parametric table family, the same model, but this time if you see that the wood material got changed because both the table family have the same parameter as wood. I'm just trying to create the same chair family here from the previous tutorial, and if you see that it's got placed in the same place, and you can go back to the schedule will be automatically created for our new family file. Parametric Revit Table Family. There are two families. You can see that with the type of 1500 and 2000 on the level 1. So that's it for this tutorial.
I hope this parametric tutorial helped you to create a simple table, parametric table. Then give a thumbs up and share it with your learning friends so that they also learn it with you. The next tutorial will be a simple parametric door family, which we will be learn angle constraint from that. See you on the next tutorial.